Welcome into the Morning Glory Show after hours. We got a great show ahead of us today, guys. We're going to be covering offensive players in the NFL draft coming up when we're less than 2 weeks away. We're joined by a great guest tonight, a part of the Titan Upload Network. He's over there hosting the reports and all of that. But we're joined tonight by Titan Rossi. How are we doing tonight? You're muted.
Oh, there we go. All right. I'm happy to be here, man. It's cool. I finally get to come on with you guys, and I'm stoked to be doing what we're doing tonight. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. And then obviously joined by our co-host, as always, Jonathan Miller over at Esports Valen. How you doing tonight, brother?
Doing good. It's the Morning Glory Show is really the afternoon, the Midnight Glory Show. I don't know. We're gonna have to change up the name if we keep having all these shows where you're getting ready for the draft and just a ton of content to cover, a ton of awesome guests like Rossi here, and it's gonna be fun to crack this one open and do something a little different than we normally do.
We've been going this last couple of weeks, and after the draft, you feel like we'd have a little break and a little cool down, but we know that is probably not the case because we'll be talking about everybody that's on the Titans, and then we can really dive into what this team is going to look like next season. But today, like I said, we're going to be doing a couple drafts. So we're going to start out with a 11 personnel of offensive players out of this year's NFL draft. So we're building an entire offense, and we're going to talk about those prospects and why we like those guys. And then to end the show, we always end with a draft. And today, we got a genie in our midst. We're picking our favorite wishes, and we're gonna go a bunch of different ways, I'm sure, with that. But how we're gonna do this to start is we're going snake draft style. So Rossi's gonna have the 101. I'm gonna have the second pick, and Jonathan's going to have the third, and we're going to go snake draft style for the 33 picks that we put on tonight. So if you're joining us for the first time, make sure you go like, comment, and subscribe. And you can do us three favors, really. So first, you're going to type into YouTube or go into the app. You're going to go to the search tab. You're going to type in Titan Upload Network. You're going to find that. You're going to go hit subscribe there. Then you're going to go back to that search bar, and you're going to put Titans Rossi in there. You're going to go to that channel. You're going to hit subscribe again. And then you're going to type in Glory Day Sports, and you're going to come find this video on YouTube. And then you're going to like, subscribe, and you're going to drop into the comments to join the conversation. But let's go ahead and get started with this tonight, boys. Where are we going with the 101 pick?
Man, so I'm the 101 guy, right?
You are.
Man, the franchise is on my shoulders, right? So obviously, I would have to go QB. If I got the first overall pick, I'd imagine, in regular fantasy, you would go for running back. So, but this is not obviously fantasy. We're not basing it on points. We're just basing it on.
Yep.
Right. So, it's kind of tough because, you got Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels are really, the top four quarterbacks: Williams, May, Daniels, McCarthy. So I could throw a wild card in there and say, hey, let's go McCarthy. You know what I mean? Kind of the Will Levis of this year's draft, I guess. But I don't know, man. I gotta go Caleb Williams. There's no other way to go for me, I don't think. There's some people who like May and Daniels better than Williams, but I'm going 101 Caleb Williams.
I don't think anybody's going to scoff at that at all, just because quarterback is the most important position in not only probably football, but all of sports in general.
Right.
So I'm up with the second pick. And when I look at this year's draft, there's talent all across the board, and there's a lot of blue chip talent in this year's draft. And it's probably I've been covering the draft for 3-4 years now. This is the most talented draft class I've ever covered. But when I look at these positions across the board, there's one position in particular where it's one guy and then it drops off. So I'm going tied in with the first pick, and we're going with Georgia's Brock Bowers. as far as the blue chip talents go in this draft, he might be towards the bottom right before I get into those high first round picks. But I mean, he's broken out even as a true freshman over at Georgia. So he's dominating the hardest grouping in power football and collegiate level since he was 17 years old. You can't scoff at the talent, at least, even though maybe positionally it's not the most important. You get that talent, there's a huge cliff from there. So I'm going Brock Bowers with the second pick. Jonathan, you're up, and you got back-to-back.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good pick. I think it's important. I don't know if we stated at the top of the show that this is the draft we're doing here is offense only. So, we're going to be picking a player basically at every starting position on an offense. So looking at like what Jake did and taking the top talent that was available at that position, since tight end is seemingly, I don't want to call it super shallow, but it's kind of super shallow, at least in the context of what we're doing here. So with that, back-to-back picks. So since there's only 3 of us drafting and Rossi already has his quarterback, I feel pretty comfortable to not have to be pressured to take a quarterback in this spot. And there is a ton of talent at the wide receiver position. There's a ton of talent on the offensive line. So I think, it is smart to kind of take a look at maybe some of those positions that are a little more shallow, but I think that there is one player or one strategy that I can take a look at since I have back-to-back picks here. And that's just taking maybe, 2 just insane studs at wide receiver. And that's what I'm going to do. So with my first pick, I'm going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. And the first pick of the second round, I'm going to go with Malik Neighbors.
Can't fault you for that at all. Obviously, maybe on my big board, they are 1 and 2. I have Neighbors as the best player in this entire draft and Marvin Harrison right behind him. And my pro comps for them that I put out last night was I believe Malik Neighbors is Goku because he's that main character. He's only going to get better. And then Marvin Harrison Jr., he's a bad motherfucker. He is.
Yeah.
Neighbors feels more like Vegeta, though, if we're being honest, right? Like he kind of has that cockiness about him.
He's pretty cocky.
He's kind of like falling into the villain role early on in these draft conversations. So, hey, and Vegeta's, hey, that's 1A, 1B, baby.
The more likable character, arguably, maybe Vegeta. I'm not just going to put that out there. But, all right, I'm back up. And I got Brock Bowers in the first. So, man, this is pretty hard. Just getting into it. But I'm going offensive tackle here. And I'm not going Joe Alt, as most in the chat would probably want. I'm going Olu Fashanu out of Penn State, the dancing bear. He is the best offensive line prospect I've ever covered. He doesn't give up ground. He doesn't give up sacks. He's never given up a sack. Not in high school, not in college. And I'm over the moon for him. The talk of the small hands and him dropping down boards, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think media is lower on him than the actual NFL is. So
agreed.
Would I be surprised if he goes as the number 1 tackle? Probably, but I personally would go that direction. So I got Brock Bowers and Olu Fashanu. And then Rossi, you're back up, and you got back-to-back picks now, and you had Caleb Williams with the first pick.
All right. So, I mean, if you're going with Fashanu, that kind of changes my offensive line structure a little bit and what I want to pick. Now, I agree with Fashanu. I think he's an awesome prospect. And, if the Titans get in a position where they trade back to 13 or, with Las Vegas or something and Fashanu falls, by all means, I mean, that would be incredible to me. But for this exercise, I'm going to go with Fuaga for our right tackle.
Got some versatility there.
Yeah, I think, if he's going to not be forced to start at the left tackle position and he can hang there at right tackle, I would love to have him at right tackle. And, and if we keep going here, like, it's interesting. I would, if I'm going to go with like a center, I'm going to go with Jackson Powers Johnson. Kind of give us a center there.
There you go.
JPJ, another great prospect. like Olu, has never given up a sack at the collegiate level and was amazing for Oregon this past season. It's similar to like the tight end position. It's really him, and there's a pretty clear drop off to the next tier. So I don't mind that at all. And Talisi Fuanga and JPJ, that's a stud. It's just pairing him up with a Caleb Williams is a way to go. That's cool. That's awesome. So, all right, I'm back up on the board. Olu, Brack Bowers, and I didn't want to do it, but I'm gonna do it. We're going Joe Alt at right tackle with Olu.
You are a menace. So
we're pounding the rock just about every play. Don't care who's at quarterback or running back. There's going to be lanes open, and quarterbacks can have a lot of time back there. So Olu, Joe Alt, Brock Bowers, and then Jonathan, you got back-to-back, and you got the weapons. You got the weapons for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just lean into that, right? With my third pick, I'm going to take Rome Odunze. And, you know, sometimes the draft just, you know, comes to you in strange ways. So here we are with the top 3 receivers on our team. Still feel good about whatever quarterback I land, to be honest with you, given our situation here. But it's very clear that I need to start addressing some other important positions. Really love, again, the depth that we have at some of these positions. But I have to start filling a need. So let's see. Fuanga gone, Alt gone, Fashanu gone. Think we're going to take the next best guy. And I think I'm going to go with JC Latham here. Probably play left tackle for us.
Okay. Would definitely be my next tackle I have on my big board. I think JC Latham gets a lot of hate. I've seen some people changing their minds here lately on him, but JC Latham was a great player all this season. I think people are just really looking at his last game where he did struggle with the speed to power. But, I mean, overall, he's got the size. He's got the intangibles. I mean, he's going to be a great pro, and I wouldn't even be surprised if he was the best tackle to come out of this year's draft class. All right, well, I'm back up on the board. Don't have any weapons at all.
There's plenty left.
Bowers.
My strategy was not better. My strategy was not better, by the way. There are so many great receivers.
So, on the interior of what is left, as far as offensive line goes, I have one player with a first-round grade, and that is UConn's Christian Haynes. This is the guy that I have, every time I watch him, I just have to act. I just got to raise him a little bit more just because the strength is there. The technique is there. He has gotten all the reps. He's played 3+ seasons over at UConn and has only improved every season. And pairing that guy up with everybody else around him, I mean, you can't fault the guy. So I'm going Christian Haynes just to bolster this offensive line even further. We're putting him at left guard. And then Rossi, you are back up with another back-to-back.
He's the best pure guard in the draft. So that was a great pick.
In my opinion.
So, you know, like you said, there is a drop-off when you get to the center and guards. But I'm going to put this guy at right guard because, you know, all the draft profiles and all that are talking about him being actually possibly a guard or a center. So Troy Fountain out of Washington, I'm going to stick him at right guard and see how it works out.
I was hoping he was going to fall, to be honest, but wishful thinking.
This is a deep tackle class, and we've heard this coaching staff stated on multiple occasions now, which has led us to maybe as media think, okay, they're going receiver at 7. Doesn't mean that's the case by any means, and Joe Alt is still the heavy favorite on betting markets. But when we get into this second round, even 4th round, 5th round, there's guys that I still really like that are out there that I think could start very, very early into their NFL career. So I don't mind that at all. All right, so we got Troy Fontenot off the board. Your right side is solidified with him and Fuanga next to him. So, all right, you got one more pick here.
Oh, okay.
Back.
All right, so we got, I mean, as far as our starters, we built our line pretty much. I mean, we got all of our line. We've got 3 wide receivers. We got a tight end. The drop off, I could wait on tight end. So, I guess we got to look at halfbacks too, but that could probably wait for another round.
Yep.
So is there a limit on rounds? How many more rounds do we got?
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more rounds. We've each got 4 players.
Oh, so yeah, we're good to go. So I'm gonna, let me take a look at this real quick, because who else are first round grades? I mean, has somebody picked another quarterback yet? I don't think so. Have we?
Nope.
Okay.
No, and just a heads up, just a reminder, we each have our own teams too. So we're not drafting one roster.
Oh, we're not. We're drafting our own teams.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh God, I haven't even kept up with what I've drafted for myself then.
So
Okay,
you got
Caleb
Williams, JPJ, Troy Fontenot, and Talisi Fuanga.
Oh,
basically
Lord,
all of your
dude,
line almost.
I'm in rough shape then. I thought
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
I
you have your
would-
bookend tackles. You have almost
Okay.
your entire offensive line.
All right, so my offensive line is beast mode, pretty much.
yes.
But
Pretty good shape.
all right, so okay, I'm gonna have to go with Adonai Mitchell. I need to add some.
AD.
I need to add some skill players, and I think AD is a starter in this league. So
Stud.
I'm going with AD Mitchell.
When I think AD Mitchell, I think he's just so geeked up off the line of scrimmage. Obviously,
Yeah.
at Georgia, he didn't have the targets there, so he ends up transferring to Texas. But everything that you look for in a receiver prospect is there, other than maybe just overall production. Xavier Worthy, of course, led the team in targets this last season. But when you watch AD Mitchell's tape, I mean, there's no reason why he couldn't be a number 1 receiver in this league. And going back and looking at his tape from a couple years ago, he was the only player to score on Roger McCreary, as we all know, didn't allow a single touchdown in the NFL this
Hard to
past
score
season.
on.
It's hard to score on him, and he did it in the red zone, and that just kind of tells you the prospect that you're getting as Titans fans even. And that's a guy that might be on the board potentially there at 38. I know he's projected as a first-round talent, but there's still the potential he could be there and fall to the early half of round 2. All right, so I'm back up on the board. Got Brock Bowers. I got 3 linemen, and now it comes to the point: do I go lineman again? Already got a couple picks off there, so I'm going to get my center here, just because even after JPJ, there's one other guy and then another tier down, and that is going to be West Virginia's Zach Frazier.
Yep.
Bowling ball in the middle. I think he doesn't get enough love from just media in general, but he's a very, very talented offensive lineman. Maybe doesn't have the length that you'd like to see there, but as far as intellectually and his play strength, this guy is going to start in the league for the next 6-7 years, and I wouldn't be surprised that in the least. So I'm just going to keep bolstering this offensive line as far as I can. And Jonathan, you got back-to-back picks again.
Okay, so a lot of my guys fell, but that's okay. We're still going to build a competent offensive line. No, you guys have your tackles. So I'm going to stay away from my tackles and quarterback. I got to be strategic here, okay? You guys both have your centers as well. So this is kind of tough. Do I go running back, and do I try to get ahead of that? But who do I feel is running back 1? That's the tough part. There's a couple of guys on here there's several guys on here I like, actually. And
I have seen, as far as running back 1s go, I've seen maybe 6 different people there. So it's a very deep class, but it's lacking the Saquon Barkley, the Adrian Petersons. It just doesn't have that top end talent. And maybe there is a guy, if he didn't have an injury, maybe he is up there. But this is a very deep running back class for sure.
I feel the same way about the tight ends. Like, there's several guys that I like that would be later round choices that aren't necessarily like, there's not going to be 2 tight ends drafted in the first round. I would be kind of surprised if we saw some go in the second. So it's kind of a weird draft at this point. I kind of just have to fill needs. I don't really think we're going to intertwine at all, except for quarterback. So, you know what? I'll just start taking best player available at this point. With this pick, I'm going to go Amarius Mims. He's going to play right tackle for us.
Don't mind that.
Who knows? Might end up being the best right tackle in the draft. So really excited about him and kind of what his ceiling looks like. So I got my tackles. And you know what? I'm going to take a guy I'm really high on, and he is probably going to be an interior beast. This guy has maybe the most flexibility in the entire draft on the offensive line, in my opinion. Like, literally could start so many positions. And I'm going to go Graham Barton. He's going to play guard for us.
Love it. Graham Barton literally could play any 5 spots for you on the offensive line. And Amarius Mims, he's such a... If he didn't have the injury history, this is the guy that's probably going top 5. He might be the number 1 tackle on teams' big boards.
So little, he just has very little experience as well as a starter, right? Like, if he had, like, theoretically, if he had stayed in college another year and played for another year and had, the same amount of success that he had, we would be talking about him as a much higher pick. And also the tackle talent above him right now is just so significant. If, like, again, I talk about it with the big 3 receivers. If we didn't have the same level of talent at tackle on the top end, and Amarius Mims was in, like, a different class, this guy is him going as the first tackle taken wouldn't even be ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So I really like him, and he's kind of like a sleeper. He'll be like a late round, first round pick probably, but whoever gets him, some serious upside.
I think when I view him, high bust potential, but as far as ceiling, it's astronomical. If we're talking tackles, Joe Alt is 2 scoops of vanilla. I've said that a couple times. Amarius Mims is Rocky Road. He's got texture. He's got everything that you're looking for. He's got the march. It's something that could pay off, and that's why he's still in the first round consideration, even lacking the experience at the position. And he's talked about it at the Senior Bowl. He's played in the combine. He's played left side and right side in the through the process, through practice for Georgia. So it's a guy that could maybe swing out to the left and be that blind side blocker for you. So don't mind that at all. So I'm back up on the clock. And if you guys are tuning in late, make sure you hit that retweet button if you're on Twitter. Make sure you spread this love. Hop on YouTube, subscribe, NFLDraftFanatics.com. Make sure you go over there and check out their formula that they have for their draft database. It's great. Go check them out. Are we doing a drafted team? We are. So we're all drafting 11 starting people on offense today. So head over to YouTube, subscribe, do all those things. But I'm back up on the clock. I have pretty much my offensive line solidified, and I got Brock Bowers, and that's about it. I still need a right guard. But when I look at this, man, we could go QB here, but with Caleb Williams off the board, it is a very close tier in my opinion.
Who's going to go first? Who's going to take one
Exactly. Exactly. It's kind of basically when you're doing your fantasy drafts and everybody that you want's going off the board, you're like, I'll just kick it down the road to the very last round.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the offensive weapons are off the board, but there is another guy that I do have a first-round grade on, being a late first, if in anything, and that is going to be Brian Thomas Jr. at LSU. He is super athletic. He's got the size. He's got the speed. Had like 16 touchdowns this past season as a receiver with that crew with Malik Neighbors and Jaden Daniels. Guy that could still refine his route running ability, but immediately he's going to be a great vertical threat. So he's going to be our wide receiver 1, and we're going to pair him up with Brock Bowers, and we've got size and we've got speed. So we're going Brian Thomas Jr. there, and Rossi, you got back-to-back picks here. You got Caleb Williams, A.D. Mitchell, J.C. Latham, JPJ, Troy Fontenot, and Talisi Fawonga.
Okay. So I'm gonna, since I realize that we're drafting our own teams, I'm gonna move Fawaga to left tackle.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put Latham at right tackle.
That guy's on my team.
Yeah.
Oh, is Latham on your team?
Yeah, I drafted.
Oh, you have Latham.
Yep.
Okay, so that makes sense. All right, so I'm gonna keep Faga at right tackle. I'm gonna leave Fontenot at guard because I think he's gonna be interior anyways in the league. So all right, so basically I'm keeping up with it now on my computer. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a left tackle. Anyways, who I think could play left tackle. I'm gonna go with Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. This is a guy that Teron Davenport is huge on. He came on our show like a month ago. He loves this guy. So I'm going to go with Guyton at left tackle. And then, man, I really need another guard. Like, I'm not as concerned about – I feel like I can still pick up some receivers that are pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Tight end I'm going to be struggling on. I know that. I think we're all going to be, though, because – as far as that goes, pretty big drop off. So, I need another guard, and I'm trying to find somebody here who could play guard, but there's not many. It's just not many at all. Let me see here. Let me go to guard. Sorry.
Yeah, we've definitely carved through quite a bit of them at this point.
I guess. You know what? There's a guy that I really like, and a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh no, he's from San Diego State," and because what's his name was from San Diego State. That's on the Titans right now. Radens. So, and this could be a Radens type of pick, maybe, but I'm going to go with Mason McCormick. Man, I'm going to throw him there at left guard, and I don't know, man. I know he's probably going to be like a 3rd or 4th round pick in a normal draft, but I'm going to go with Mason McCormick. I'm going to stick him there at left guard, and I'm going to take my chances later on. So Guyton and then McCormick.
Yeah. So your offensive line is set with Guyton, McCormick, JPJ, Fontenot, and Falonga. I'm an Oklahoma fan. Tyler Guyton is a guy that I am super low on in consideration for the media in general. I actually have Walter Rouse, our left tackle, that rated higher than Guyton. I see them very similarly. I do get what people are seeing in Guyton. He is hyper athletic, but when I view him with the coaching that he had under Bill Beatonbow, who I consider the best offensive line coach in collegiate football, if he couldn't put it together there, I am hesitant with him putting it together at the next level, even with a guy like a Bill Callahan even. So, and speaking of Teron is actually coming on the show next Thursday. So actually, everybody come check out our live show at 7 a.m. Central. Next Thursday, we'll be talking draft. And I'm sure we'll talk Tyler Guyton. I'm sure we will. Yeah. I know he's high on Xavier Leggett and a bunch of other guys. So we'll talk about that.
I do want to touch on Tyler Guyton. So I think what got everybody really excited about him was obviously the Senior Bowl. He looked really, really good in the Senior Bowl in those one-on-ones. And I think my gripe with Tyler Guyton is kind of how he puts it together holistically as like a member, as a unit of the offense. I think that's kind of where he struggles, right? If you put him on an island, he's gonna go pound for pound with really talented edge rushers. And so I think that the talent is there. He just kind of needs it between the ears a little bit more. And like you said, like he had good tutelage. It wasn't that he was poorly coached. It's that I just think, maybe it's just a lack of experience. Like maybe he just needs some time to kind of develop into a system and really like learn the ins and outs and schemes of run offense and pass pro and kind of get a little bit better, like holistically around the offense, right? Because you hear like some of the best offensive linemen of all time, you hear they spend time like thinking like a quarterback, like they literally study like they're a quarterback. And in many ways they kind of are, right? They have to know what every other skill position is doing on that play. So that way they can block efficiently. So I think it's just that situation for Tyler. I like him as like a talent, like just pure athlete. I think he's very, very good. And if he gets a chance to where he can go in and not have to be the franchise tackle on day one, then he should have a successful career.
And it's interesting too, like now that you're talking about Guyton, I'm like, oh man, I'm looking at his PFF rankings, and of course, PFF is wrong a lot of times too. But if you look at him comparatively to all the other tackles, even guys, you're talking about your other guy from Oklahoma, Guyton's grade 63.7 and 23, 66 and 22, 21, 69. And you look at your other guy, Walter Rouse, 72 and 23, 66 and 22, 71. So he was even graded better than Guyton by PFF, which is phenomenal considering Guyton's so high up there. So
Guyton did come from a smaller school. He did transfer.
Right.
He was a transfer this past season. I forget where he comes from. He is a zone only player in my opinion. He struggles in gap based schemes, which for his size is very, very concerning, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, if the Titans were to draft him at 38, I would be probably disappointed. But I could see the potential is there, and it's very similar to somebody like Amarius Mims. He's got the athleticism and hopefully the tangibles. And like Stoney Keeley was on the show a couple weeks ago, he talked about watching him at the Senior Bowl and watched him take that coaching that he was receiving there and applying it to the next rep, which is what you want to see from a player. He's able to apply that stuff. So personally, I'm lower on him than the majority, and I understand that, but I do see the potential at least. So I'm back up on the board here. So I'm still missing one. I'm missing a guy at right guard, and then I've got Brian Thomas Jr., Brock Bowers, and I got to fill the rest of those weapons. So we're actually going to go lineman again here, and I'm going right guard. And this is a guy that I've been super high on ever pre-Senior Bowl, and I liked what I saw at the Senior Bowl. Bruce Feldman's freaks list guy from this past season, and that's Kingsley Suamataia out of BYU. Super hyper athlete. Penei Sewell's cousin. Take that for what you will. But this is a guy that has just like Tyler Guyton, he's got the athleticism, but I think he's more of a refined prospect. And he played right tackle 2 years ago and actually kicked out to the left side this past season and played very well. And then going back to his last game of the season before, I don't think they made a Pro Bowl or a postseason game. They played Oklahoma for the last game of the season, and that was the best game of his entire year. So he improved down the stretch and learned at left tackle. So if talking Titans, we're talking 38 if they were to go wide receiver in the first round. This is a guy that I'm all in there. I think this is a guy that could come in day one with Bill Callahan and be a respectable left tackle. And even if they went Joe Olufashinu at 7, this is the guy I'd still be in to be the right tackle, or like I'm doing, to kick him in inside. I think that is his floor, is to be an amazing guard for a NFL team. So this is a guy I really like. I think he's only getting better. So my offensive line is complete. Rossi's offensive line is complete. Jonathan, you got back-to-back picks, and you need a quarterback, a running back, another tight end, and your center. And I have as right guard currently, but as we know, Graham Barton can play pretty much any position. So you got that interior offensive line. We're
gonna let Graham decide where he wants to play. He's earned it. Okay, we'll say you just pick a spot, pick a spot on the line, and go play there. So what I'll do is, obviously, I'm not worried about any of. I have the pick of the litter, or of what's left as far as the offensive line goes. I'm going to take one of them. No, I'm not. I'm going to go a different position on both of these, and then
fill out. I mean, there's no
might as well,
really.
Right? Like I might as well, put it at the back. Okay, so that's fun. We're going to go tight end and running back here. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pick of all of these options. This is so tough. Let me. I'm going to go tight end first. It makes sense to go Jadavian Sanders, but I'm not. Why not? Like, I'm going to have fun with this pick. I'm going to take my guy, our guy. I'm going to go tight end from Penn State, Theo Johnson. This guy,
I wanted him. I was going to pick him next.
An athletic freak, this guy. So, obviously, when you talk about like drafting talented players, you talk about drafting athletes. Brian Callahan said it in his opening presser, right? As a head coach, as he talked about how, at the end of the day, like sometimes you just have to draft bigger, stronger guys, because at the end of the day, you just have to move the person that's across from you. Theo Johnson is a mover of people. He's going to get around you. He's going to go through you. He's great at a little bit of everything. So he kind of has like the athletic traits that make you go ooh and ah. Does it make him like a bona fide like big body receiver? I'm not really sure like where his role will be in on the professional side, but man, he is a freak athlete, and just adding athletes to your team is never a bad idea. So in this case, I'm just going to take the guy that I like the best at this point with Bowers gone and go Theo Johnson.
No, I don't mind that at all.
Second pick. Forgot about that. Back to back. Here we go. Let's go running back. Running back is harder for me because there's a handful of guys here that I really like. I'm a big fan of Jalen Wright. I'm just big fan of his game. I think his game is going to transfer really nicely to the professional level. I also like Blake Corum. Blake Corum gets a lot of hate. Just that's kind of unwarranted, in my opinion. Just because he's not a bona fide top 10 running back talent doesn't mean that he's not damn good at what he does. Very, very good at getting in and out of those tiny, tiny spaces. And he makes your offensive line play look better because of how efficient he is in between the tackles. And then Trey Benson, obviously, a ton of talent there. So I'm at a loss I'm just going to go, I'm going to represent my state well. I'm going to represent the school that I sometimes cheer for, that I'm an unofficial fan of. And I'm going to go with running back Jalen Wright.
Dang, Jalen Wright is certainly the fastest running back in this year's draft, and he's number 2 on my board.
He had a great
110%. Great combine, and the tape is there too. Let's not get it twisted.
Yep.
I love to hate the Vols just because they get so bent out of shape. But taking my shades off, I love Jalen Wright, and I think he's going to be successful. And he just looks like a 49ers running back, in my opinion. And the Titans are trying to become the 49ers.
He looks like a Rand Carthon running back.
Exactly. They're going to bring in somebody that's got the speed. He might be a little bit smaller. Maybe eventually they have some injuries down the road. But when you've got him out there, that is a freaking sports car, and you're going to treat him as such. And I think the Titans are going to bring in one more running back this season. Obviously, we've got Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard being that 1A, 1B. Wouldn't be surprised if they bring in somebody else to usurp Julius Chestnut, because that's what the 49ers do. They just stockpile these guys that are just demons with their speed. So I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, we didn't talk about it earlier, but some big news happened right before we went live, and that is that the Titans, they brought in Leroy Watson as another tackle.
Thank God we got that left tackle position figured out. Now we can truly enter the draft, take the best player of it. Joe Alt, who I don't want to hear about it anymore. We have Leroy Watson, okay? He's going to come in and set the edge, all right? He's going to be the pillar that we need at 6'4", 270 pounds. Just kidding. I think that was his college. I looked at his athletic grades coming out of school, and I went, this is my body. I'm 6'4", 270. This is me. I was like, there's no way. But apparently that's not the case. He grew, apparently. I don't know. It's different. I don't know what to believe anymore. But thank God. We figured it out, boys. We're good.
We're good. Left tackle, stop. No. It's a great depth piece. And like I talked about it on Twitter right before we went live, I think this is the route that somebody like a Brevin Spanford could take out of Minnesota. Huge 6'7", 270, very similar in size. He's a 6th lineman for you. This is a break glass in case of emergency signing. But also in the news, Titan Rossi got another tattoo.
Nice.
So we will throw that up on the screen.
Right.
Just download that.
Is that a family pet?
Yeah, it's my cat. It's Scruffy. Titan Scruffy.
Titan Scruffy. Love it. But yeah, as far as the running back goes, they traded away. What I was getting to with that is they traded away one of their 7th-round picks. They got 2 more. I think one of those could be a running back. And Rand has proved in this past season that he's not afraid to spend capital on a running back with bringing in Tajay Spears. We didn't need a running back last season. We had Derrick Henry. So he's going to play the board. And if there's somebody that falls down, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a shot at somebody. But all right, I am back up on the board. My offensive line is complete. I got Brock Bowers and Brian Thomas Jr. So we could go running back here. We could go wide receiver. We have a flex position, I guess. You could throw it a tight end or a wide receiver there. We can go Maryland I and throw another running back in there. But I'm going, man. I could go with my running back one. But that's too fucking boring. I'm going down the board, and I'm drafting Derrick Henry's clone, and I'm going Braylon Allen out of Wisconsin. When we're talking breakout age, this is a guy that was a true freshman that was 6'3", 240 as a running back. We hear those comps when Derrick Henry was coming out. It was like, he's a defensive end out there playing running back. This is that guy. They switched to more of a zone-based scheme this past season over at Wisconsin, and it's something that he had to learn. But if I'm looking at my offensive line, which is just full of studs that can run gap scheme all day, I want a big body back there. We don't know who's throwing the ball. We don't know who's catching the ball, but we know we're just going to throw it down. We're going to run it down your throat. We're going Mike Vrabel here.
You've been watching way too much Titans football over the years. All right?
Exactly.
Like, you're just literally building a historic Titans team.
So I'm going Braylon Allen, Wisconsin running back here. And Rossi, you are back up. Your offensive line is complete as well, and you're in a similar boat to where I am, other than needing a tight end as well. And you got back.
So we have 2 wide receiver positions and a flex.
Yeah, I mean, you could throw a receiver in there. You can throw a tight end in there, running back, whoever you really want. Another guy that you're high on.
Okay, so for the next 2, I'm gonna go with Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. I just, his speed, his size, ability, athletic ability. I think, with what's left right now, I got to get another receiver. I got A.D. Mitchell. I got Legette. I'm pretty happy right there with the 2 receivers. And, you surprised me with that running back pick. But that leaves me somebody open. And, man, it's hard to pick a running back out of this class because, for one, I don't really know much about them, to be honest. It's not a position I've really honed in on yet, but I do know a few of them. I would have picked Jalen Wright if you hadn't picked him. I love his speed. I've seen him play a lot, and I like what he brings to the table. When it comes to tight end, that was going to be my pick, the guy out of Penn State. I've been picking him in mock drafts over and over again.
Me too.
So I'm going to go. I need to get a tight end. I feel like I need to get a tight end at this point.
Left you a good one.
There's a couple good ones on the board, in my opinion. I think there's guys that really, it's kind of a pick your poison, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, who do we have? We have Eric All, Cade Stover, Ben Stinnett.
Yep, Ben Sinnett's amazing, kind of an H-back, in my opinion. Jadavian Sanders has not. Who did you go? You went Theo Johnson. So Jadavian Sanders out of Texas, a really great player. Yeah. If we're going just kind of Delaney Walker type, Tanner McLaughlin out of Arizona is a guy that I absolutely love. And the same mold, kind of a Jaheim Bell. There's talent in this receiver class for sure. And if you're just going pure blocker, that's out there. And if you're wanting more of a converted wide receiver to tight end, that's out there as well. So there's a lot of different realms.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Sanders just because I feel like I'm getting the best bang for my buck here at this position or at this certain time. Now, I mean, Sanders has injury concerns, so the question is, can he get back up to where he was? He had a torn ACL, but I'm going to go with Sanders. I'm going to stick him there at tight end, and so Legette and Sanders.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. JT Sanders is my number 2 tight end on my board. I have an early 3rd round grade on him, which might be a little bit lower than consensus. I believe he is a 2nd round graded, and the consensus behind Brock Bowers. It's really him under Bowers, and then him and Sennett's Rose this year in this last little bit, just because he is an athlete. He can do a lot of different things for you. Might need a little bit more time. We know rookie tight ends usually don't produce. We had a great one this past season that's over in Detroit, but that's usually not the case. Usually 2 or 3 years before they convert. So you're really drafting talent there that hopefully can be developed. But now our tight ends are officially wrapped up, and we talked about a lot of great ones. One guy that you brought up, Eric All. It's so hard to bet against an Iowa tight end at this point in time, just because every season they seem to produce one. Exactly. So, and that's a guy, if you're doing your PFF mocks, I don't know if they fixed it here recently, but that was broken. You could get Eric All in the 7th round, and he was like ranked 100 and some odd pick.
He's 103 now. They fixed it.
He was 103, but you could get him at 255. So they may have fixed it since then, though. I haven't looked at it in the last little bit. So, all right, I'm back up on the board. I need a quarterback. I need 2 wide receivers. I guess that's it. Man, I could go a couple different directions here, but I guess I'll go quarterback just so I can kind of snag Jonathan, I guess, just because I do see it.
Don't take him.
And I mean, I'm higher on this player than the other one that I'm going to leave here.
No.
And it might be consensus that I'm not. I'm going Jaden Daniels.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, so there's 2 guys you can go there. But I like Jaden Daniels a little bit more. Just because the upside is there. He is very tiny. He could get hurt, but if he's playing behind this offensive line, I don't have to worry about him ever being touched ever. But maybe you could argue.
Yeah, you do, because he's gonna go. He's gonna go decide to get touched. So you don't have to worry about him getting hit in the pocket. He'll leave the pocket.
He might not ever have anybody that's ever open, just because I don't have any receivers at this point in time. But he should have plenty of time to at least diagnose that and maybe skirt his way to the sideline. And maybe he can go the Kyler Murray route, and he's going to be sliding more than taking these huge hits that are unnecessary at his size. So I'm going Jaden Daniels there to pair him up with this team. And then, Rossi, you are wrapping up your draft. You got back-to-back picks here, and you got a running back and a flex.
Okay.
Wait,
all right.
Hold on.
Cool.
No, I think it goes to me.
Oh, is it you?
It goes.
He took Leggett and Sanders.
Yeah, because you were first. You were third. Yeah, you guys are correct.
Yeah. So Jaden, cool. Now I get to be the Drake May truther. This is awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make that pick because now I don't think any of our picks really intertwine, at least mine with you guys. No. I'm going to go with Drake May for my quarterback. And by the way, if I am the Commanders, I would be taking Drake May as well. And so here's the thing on Drake May. A lot of people obviously what the decision he made to stay at UNC was what kind of condemned him, unfortunately, because that team in particular did not do a great job of recruiting what would be his final year. And like, just to be completely clear, if he had entered the draft last year, he's probably QB1 in that draft, right? Like it's we had the Bryce Young and CJ Stroud conversation. If Drake May, after the year that he had, was in that draft class, we would have been talking that last year's draft would have been this year's draft in terms of the quarterback hype. Obviously, he loses quite a bit of talent. He had some NCAA regulations that kept his best talent away from him for the majority of the year also. And he had a really rough spot. He was in a rough spot. So for me, Drake May, the position that he's in now is he gets to hopefully get drafted to a team that has, proper tutelage and talent for this team. And I can tell you right now, if you gave Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze were Super Bowl in the first year. Okay. So the last thing I'll say on Drake May, obviously, is he did something that a lot of guys choose not to do, and he stuck with his school. He could have transferred for an absolute bag, and he decided not to. He has roots to UNC. His dad, his brother, like their family ties there. If he had gone to a school that had some talent around him, if he had decided to enter that transfer portal, bro, I'm telling you guys, this is a very, very different conversation if Caleb Williams is just going number one for sure. Drake May can make every throw in the book. He makes difficult throws look easy, and he's been through considerable adversity. So we've now seen what I believe is Drake May's floor. And if his floor is this past season, then that makes sense. That would be most quarterbacks' floor, especially the others that are in this draft class. I mean, we even saw some of the adversity from Caleb Williams, right? And he had a much better situation than Drake May. So I'm high. I'm really high on Drake May. I think that the season he had previous was not a fluke. You don't just regress because you get worse. His team around him got significantly worse. So I'm a big fan of that. And if I'm the Commanders, I'm taking him second. And also, hold on really quickly before I send it to you guys, bro. We got to give a quick shout out to our guy Armin Bean in the chat. I saw that comment. Armin, we're all rooting for you, brother.
Heck yeah, man. What's up, Armin?
All rooting for you.
Former Pitt State Gorilla over there in Kansas. I've had many of friends that I grew up with that actually played over there. So glad to have him in the chat. And yeah, kudos to him. Good luck on this journey, and tighten up to everybody in the chat. So if you guys are in the chat, make sure you drop your guys' comments. Who are some of your guys? We want to hear from you guys, and we'll discuss those as well. As we were rounding this up, really, I have my next pick, and I have
to make my last pick. Sorry.
Oh yeah. You
Drake May. I just went on my Drake May tangent. I'm sorry. So just to end it quick, so we can kind of freestyle the last couple minutes of the night. I'm just gonna fill this out and probably just go with my guard here, because the center I'm gonna take is not super excited, but I am excited about my last guard, and that last guard is Kansas State's Cooper Beebe. Really, really high on Cooper Beebe. Could have gone Christian Mahogany here. Also really love Christian Mahogany. But I'm just kind of going with my guy. I think that Cooper Beebe you're probably going to be able to get Cooper in the late second, maybe early third, but I think he's rising up boards. He was incredibly efficient. Just one of my favorite interior offensive linemen in the draft, especially based on like the value that he's probably going to go in. So Cooper Beebe is going to come in and play right guard for us, and then we'll close it out at the end with the center.
Cooper Beebe out of K-State he's so compact. He's passing out titty twisters, is how Stoney would put it. He is he gets in there.
Got that grip.
Oh man, he's got the grip. He gets inside. It's a guy I'm a little bit lower on than some people, but I mean what he does very well. So he's very scheme specific. But looking at your team, I think he fits your scheme. So
I think so.
All right, now I'm back up on the board. I need receivers. I need maybe another tight end if I wanted to go that route. But I'm going with the Nepo baby here, and that is Brendan Rice out of USC. This is a guy that I've talked about extensively. It's one of my guys. He's got the size. He's got the speed. I think I've went through my rankings here earlier today because I'm going to finalize them next week, and it'll be 250 plus. But Brendan Rice is going to finish as my wide receiver 5 on my big board over guys like he's going to be up there over A.D. Mitchell, Troy Franklin, Ricky Pearsall, Roman Wilson.
You need to do a video. You need to do a video on that. I don't think Brendan Rice gets talked about enough.
I liked what I saw at the Senior Bowl. It's a guy that there was certain points in time where he had concentration drops, and you'll see that on tape. But I believe playing with Caleb Williams did help him, but it also hurt him really a lot as well, because Caleb does operate outside of scheme a lot of times. Yeah. And we saw this past season that he can be a vertical threat for you, and he can go up and get that 50-50 ball. But what we saw at the Senior Bowl is he has that ability for this underneath stuff as well. His slant route, his push off. And this is a guy, if you grab him at 38, I would not be mad in the slightest, which I know is way out there because he is consensus 4th, 5th round. but this is a guy I fell in love with. I'm standing up there on my pedestal, and I'm stating my ground for Brennan Rice, and we're going to pair him up with Brian Thomas Jr. And we've got size. We've got size on the outside at least, and we've got great run blockers at the wide receiver position. So going back, Mike Vrabel would love this fucking team. So, all right, Rossi, you're
it's
back
a shame
up.
he won't get to enjoy it.
Yeah, he won't enjoy. He can enjoy it from the couch or wherever he is over.
No, he's in Cleveland. Yeah. He's good.
So, Rossi, you're back up. You got back-to-back picks. You got a running back and a flex.
Okay. So, all right. So, I was looking at running backs here. Man, I had a guy that I was going to pick, and then I lost it. With wide receiver in the flex, I'm going to go ahead and pick Troy Franklin. I really like Troy Franklin. So I'm going to go with him. And then running back. Let's see who I got left here to choose from. Jonathan Brooks is available. No, I'm going to pick Trey Benson. That's what I want to go with. The athletic ability, the speed. For whatever reason, he hasn't been able to utilize everything, all of that in college, but maybe with the right coach in the NFL, he'll become that player. So I'm actually excited about him. And then I'm going to go with Troy Franklin. You might be
like
muted.
the running back. That's good running back.
I don't know what happened there, but Trey Benson, I love that. Trey Benson is a guy at Florida State. I really liked what I saw on tape this past season, but last season, if you go back to his 2022 tape, he is maybe the best running back that played that 2 years ago. So something didn't hit right this past season. Maybe he played through injury, but this is a guy that could come in and definitely be a running back one for you very early.
That offense got ravaged.
It did.
It did. You lose a lot of talent on that offense, and then it's like all of a sudden it's not humming the way it was.
And then you went Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin is a guy that I had before I made this adjustment. He was wide receiver 5 for me. I really like Troy Franklin and what he brings to the table. Athletically, he might not be gifted like some of these other guys we're talking about, but he just gets the job done. And that's ultimately what you want. And when we go through this draft process, we start very high on players because of their tape, and then we sour on them as we progress through it because of their athletic testing. And it's something that he didn't show out in. So this is a guy that I do think can be an amazing wide receiver 2 for somebody, and potentially a wide receiver 1. He's got to refine a couple things, and he is slender in size, but everything that he has on tape looks great. So I'm finishing out mine now, and I need a flex position basically, but we're going to wide receiver here. I have my next guy on my board, but I also have a couple guys that maybe fit better into the slot role, which is what we're particularly looking at. So I'm going to go Xavier Worthy here, just because we've got size and speed with Brian Thomas and Brennan Rice. I mixed them together there, but Xavier Worthy in the slot I think could be a freaking demon, just because of what he brings to the table, and even with the side. We see this every year with these guys that run very fast, like John Ross and such, that are more track stars than they are football players. I believe Xavier Worthy is a football player that can run track. I think the biggest fear with him is maybe he pursues the Olympics for track just because he is so fast. But if he can stay healthy at that size that he plays at, which is unheard of, other than a Devontae Smith, really, a Tank Dell. But what he put on tape, I really like, and he broke out at a very early age. He's led Texas in receptions and targets this past 3 seasons. Ever since he got there, he has been the guy, even with A.D. Mitchell there. So I'm happy with Xavier Worthy there, and that wraps up my team. And Jonathan, you're wrapping up the draft with a center.
That's right. Armin Bean, do you play center? Can you play center? Yeah. Can you put on like 150 pounds and, get that grip strength going? I think we can plug you in there. No, so I'm actually really excited for this last pick because I get to do something kind of fun because of the versatility that I drafted. So I need a center. That's the final position I have to fill. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move Graham Barton to center. And
Love
I'm
it.
going to draft Christian Mahogany to come in and plug in at guard with Cooper.
You son
Beebe.
of a bitch.
Good pick.
Really happy with how that played out.
Christian Mahogany is on my, as far as guards go, and we have these guys that are tackle / guard / centers, but if I'm just looking pure guard, he is number 5 as far as guards go. Behind, if we're going pure guard, he'd be 3. I'll put it that way.
Yep.
And he's similar to somebody like I have a Christian Haynes in the first round. Mahogany is a great, great technician of his craft over at Boston College, and really like what I saw there. But yeah, well, that wraps up our draft. We got some great teams. We'll put out a graphic tomorrow or this weekend and let you guys vote on this, because we love doing this, and maybe if you guys love it,
you guys are gonna get crushed in this vote. I have the 3 top receivers.
You got a lot. I
got the flashiness, baby. I got the shiny cars, man.
Sex appeal. You got sex appeal. I'll give you that.
No doubt.
But we're gonna end today with another draft, and we're gonna move through this pretty quickly. We got a genie in town. We're doing top genie picks, and we got 4 each, and we're just going to burn through those. We'll go snake draft style, but we're going to go reverse of what we just did. So, Jonathan, you got the first pick. I'll stay in second, and then Rossi, you've got the third, and we'll go snake draft style. So, what is the 101 here?
This is my first 101. I've never gotten to pick first, so this is really overwhelming. I don't know what to do with this. Are there any rules?
So the only rule that I could think of is you can't wish for more wishes.
Okay.
You can't wish for more wishes.
Fair
and that was really the only one I could think of.
Fair enough. Okay. This one is going to be this one's tough. Because you can't really wish for like to live forever, because that's a lonely life. You don't want that. Like everyone you love comes and dies, and that'd be terrible. And you don't want to wish for being immortal, for I guess, but that's the same thing. So I'm going to wish for something fun. I'm going to make it fun. It's dangerous, but I'm going to go with the fun. I'm going to go with time travel, the ability to time travel.
So that is on my list, and very well could have been my 101. And I guess I'm up on the board now. Man, there's so many directions I could go with this. But I'm pandering to the crowd. I've decided I'm pandering to our fan base. Titans win a Super Bowl. I have to see a Super Bowl before I die.
Oh, man, I really choked. I really messed up, didn't I?
That's the only way I could go here. So I'm going Titans Super Bowl. Rossi, you got back-to-back picks.
So what I'm trying to get. So we're just picking like
a genie grants you a wish. What do you wish for?
Just anything. Okay.
Anything. Except for more wishes,
Man,
apparently.
I definitely would have probably picked the Super Bowl thing.
I can't believe I missed that. Oh, man, I'm such a bad fan.
Man, honestly, one of them I would be invisible. Like,
that was good.
I could just
it's on my list.
It's very good.
I think, you could just do anything with it. You could go anywhere. You could sneak on a plane. You could go anywhere you want in the world. You could do anything you want if you were invisible. I mean, you'd have to be quiet. You'd have to be like a ninja, I guess. But I would go with invisibility. And no, man, that's a tough one to pick. I would say if I had another wish, and not to sound like materialistic, but it would be just to have enough money to where I wouldn't have to worry about anything.
That would have been my next picks. I have unlimited money on my list.
Yep.
Yeah, like just enough money to where I could do anything. I don't have to worry about another bill again.
Wish for something silly like a credit card you don't have to pay off, like a credit card with an unlimited spending limit, and you never have to pay it off.
Something like that, yeah, where you just don't have to worry about anything. Money is not an issue. I don't want to be filthy rich, though. Like, I don't want to be so rich to where it gets to my head and I become this asshole. You know what I mean?
Rossi's
Like,
wishing
typing every day.
Rossi's wishing for a $225,000 salary.
There you go.
He just wants an
There you
allowance. He wants it to be deposited
There you
every
go.
morning.
225 salary. I could 225,000. I could roll.
Very
with
modest.
That. I could, like that would honestly that would be like being rich to me. So I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
All right. Well, I'm back up on the board here. So if you guys are checking us out late in this show, we're wrapping it up. We're going genie picks here. We got Titans win a Super Bowl, time travel, invisibility, and money on the board as taken. And I'm back up here. I'm going with the perfect metabolism. So I want to be able to eat whatever I want or drink whatever I want and to still have fun and to still have a great body.
Smart man.
And that's ultimately what it comes down to. I want the six-pack abs, but I want to eat the cake too. So I'm going perfect metabolism with Titans win the Super Bowl. And Jonathan, you got back-to-backs here.
This one's easy. I'm going to make the first one really quick. I want the ability to fly. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do I have crippling anxiety about height? I do. Do I also want the ability to overcome that fear? Sure, why not? Ability to fly, like that one's obvious. I was gonna go like give me Superman's powers, but that's whatever. I'm gonna go with flying. And then for the next pick, oh, this one is so tough. You guys took some really good ones. So I'm gonna have an average salary for the rest of my life. I am going to be diabetic for the rest of my life. What are my options here? Let's roll with
stuff for that now, so you're good.
Yeah, the Titans Super Bowl is covered. I just wish for another Titans Super Bowl.
I wish for 6 Titans Super Bowls. I want a dynasty.
Just give me a Super Bowl for all the way. You have 4 wishes. Just give me four Super Bowls, please. No, that wouldn't be any fun. This is really tough, guys. I'm trying to be quick about my decision, but all my picks are now off the board. I'm gonna roll with psychic ability. Give me telekinesis so I can just move stuff with my mind. That's so tight. I get to fly and I can move stuff with my mind.
It was the last thing I thought about and added to my list. And I was like, hell yeah, I would want to have that. All right. I got another pick here. You guys have squandered my list. I
knew it was going to get hard on the back half.
Yeah. So I'm going, I want to be able to know any language when spoken to me and be able to communicate that indefinitely. So I'm going language here.
Perfectly trilingual.
Yeah, I want to be Spanish, French, German, Icelandic, whatever, Portuguese. So I'm going language here. And let's go throw that up on the board. And Rossi, you got back-to-back picks here to wrap yours up.
All right. So you said bilingual.
I got the Duolingo.
All right. I'm gonna say, man, that's a tough one. It's tough to pick that one. I'm gonna say, the ability chameleon, be able to be a chameleon.
Okay.
Now I don't know what you could do with that, but I think it would be pretty interesting.
You're already invisible though.
So I am invisible.
You just have everything.
But I think it'd be funny just to be able to turn into anybody to mess with somebody. Like you could walk in a room.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Donald Trump.
Yeah, the doppelganger effect. Yeah.
Or Eddie George or anything like that. And just, act like you're a famous person.
But plus
anybody. Yeah. Like you could be a famous person for a day. Like you could go in. I
like it.
I just picture the SNL sketch where you walk in as Eddie George into a building, turn invisible, walk out, and then you walk in as Adrian Peterson, and then you walk out, and you walk in as Chris Johnson, and then you walk out, and there's the staff there that's just freaking out.
The best TV show ever.
And being invisible is cool, but you have to be quiet. You have to be like, you can't talk, or I guess you could mess with people or whatever, but. Being a chameleon, you could kind of go to and socialize and all that stuff too. So, and also my last thing to end it out, lifetime Titans tickets.
Oh yeah.
But to away and home games and any seat that I want for any game.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't know
sitting
if
in the
that's
box.
too
You're
many
sitting
for
on the
one.
50-yard line. I
But
love
what would you?
You're calling plays.
Unlimited, like how would you put that all together? Unlimited, no matter what seat or whatever.
You own
Unlimited
Nissan
access to the team.
You are Roger Goodell.
Unlimited access. Yeah. There
I
you go.
love it. I love it.
And a press pass.
Brian, down
That's
on the
two,
sideline.
but-
You're like, all right, guys, here we go. We're gonna go. Just like,
Hail Mary. Hail Mary this play. All right, it didn't work. Hail Mary. Hail Mary again.
Right.
all right, guys,
And a
we're gonna
press
pass on
for
first
the
down.
network.
Yeah. All right.
So-
Well, I got my last pick here, and I'm the only one with a righteous self out of our group, I guess. So I'm going full Aladdin here. We're gonna free the
Okay.
genie. I'm giving him freedom.
Before my last pick.
Yeah, but we'll say he's still there.
Okay.
He's like, I thank you for doing that. I'll do you one more favor. So I'm freeing the genie, and Jonathan, you are wrapping up the draft.
All right, I'm really excited because I thought of a really great one. Okay. I'm going to wish that Pokemon are real. Bring the entire thing, the entire world, just make it real. And, just going to do that. That's just going to be my job. I'm going to be a Pokemon master. Let's do it.
Wow.
That is a great pick, also a very scary pick.
Sure, but,
yeah.
nobody dies in Pokemon.
Have you seen
It'll be
those
fine.
AI generated like Pikachus out there? They look
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah. Now I would want it's got to have like an animated
Yeah.
feel to it. It can't be like making a lizard look like a Charmander. That would be terrifying.
No, I get that. All right, well, we're wrapped up, guys. We got invisibility, unlimited money, chameleon, and unlimited Titans access, basically for Rossi. Jonathan's got time travel, flight, telekinesis, and Pokemon are real, but they're cute. I've got Titans win a Super Bowl, perfect metabolism, language of all sorts, and I freed the genie. So we'll be putting that on socials as well. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be back here live next Thursday morning, 7 a.m. CST, and we'll be joined by Teron Davenport. So definitely come check out the show, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We had a couple hundred of you guys in the chat, but we love you guys and mean it, and we'll check y'all later.